The talk show that's getting you talking. You're with Brian Kilmeade.
The thing that I talk to my Republican friends, they always want to make sure that we just got to have more energy. Well, guess what? We're going to have a lot more. We're going to drill a lot more oil. We're going to have a lot more energy. We're going to build some more gas lines to take the energy. And we're going to invest in future energy for the future. So that's all there. They always say, well, we want to pay down debt. Well, we're paying $300 billion for the first time in 25 years.
That is Senator Joe Manchin, and that was before we got the news that Kyrsten Sinema has been won over, and on a simple majority on reconciliation, this Deficit Reduction Act, which does not reduce the deficit, and I haven't seen anyone that can actually say with honesty that it reduces the deficit, will get passed as early as Saturday, and the president will immediately sign it. It consists of $735 billion overall, $369 billion of which are an investment into climate and clean energy, the biggest in American history. There's some fossil fuel provisions, and I'll break it down, but it's rude not to get to my guests who you see him on Fox Nation right now. Congressman Buddy Carter in studio, the Georgia Republicans, a member of the House Budget and Energy Committee and Commerce Committee's subcommittee on the environment and climate change. Congressman, welcome back.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here.
What will this bill, once it passes, do?
Well, actually, they have misnamed it. It is the Inflation Acceleration Act is what it is. And it's going to pour fuel on the fire. I mean, that's the last thing we need right now. You do not increase taxes during a recession. And we are in a recession.
He keeps saying I didn't increase taxes.
Totally erroneous. If you read the reports, even from the Joint Committee on Taxation, they have said that, yes, it is going to raise taxes. And it's going to raise taxes on those who are making less than $400,000 a year, which is something he said he would not do.
What is the Joint Committee on Taxation?
That is a bipartisan committee that reviews these types of bills and gives us their understanding of it.
So Joe Manchin says to Harris Faulkner a couple of days ago, well, it was only the Republicans on that committee that did that study. I've never heard that since or before or after. Have you heard that?
No. That's sour grapes there.
All right, so it's just not true?
No.
Okay. This is what else he says. We are going for fossil fuel people. We're going to make government, the government clean out and lessen the time it takes to get permits passed through when you want to drill. They are going to allow more federal land, make that more available for drilling, expand tax credits for coal and oil burning plants to do carbon capture, and the money to bring wind and solar will go to areas in which the coal plants have closed. He is going to get to continue his pipeline in West Virginia.
If that is true, it's a good thing. Now, I am one who believes in all of the above type energy strategy. Yes, I do believe in climate change. I'm a member of the Conservative Climate Caucus. I'm on the Select Committee for Climate Change. I do understand that and how important it is. However, we're moving too quickly. We are going to suffer the same fate that Europe has suffered. And
what have they suffered?
They have suffered because they've let their policies get ahead of their innovation. And now they're in a mess. I was just over in Brussels back in February and witnessed with the Conservative Climate Caucus. We were there and we witnessed what is happening over there. They've shut down their nuclear plants, and now, since wind and solar are not giving them what they need right now and supplying them what they need, they've had to go back to Russia. They had to use dirty natural gas, dirtier than what ours is, and use the fuel from Russia.
So Russia's cutting it off. They've lessened it substantially on Nord Stream 1. And they've cut off Latvia entirely.
Absolutely, and that's where Europe has gotten into the mess. European Union has gotten into a mess.
Could we be doing more to help them?
We should be, and we are. If we could export more natural gas, which keep in mind that the natural gas here in America is cleaner than the natural gas that comes from Russia, about 47% cleaner, and that's what they should be using anyway. I have an export facility in my district, Elba Island, that at one point was an import facility, but was converted to an export facility. That's what we need to do is convert those to export facilities.
What about building terminals, LNG terminals in Europe?
Absolutely.
How long would that take? 2-3 years?
It would be worth the investment. And yes, it would probably take about that.
Why would Russia, from what you know, think it's in their interest to cut off Europe now? Don't they need the revenue?
Well,
they're forcing Europe to do something we've been begging them to do, but it's going to be a tough 6 months, winter, right?
Well, it is going to be, particularly for Europe, and they're trying to put pressure on Europe. But China is helping out Russia. China's buying more Russian fuel, more gas and oil from Russia. Let's face it, Russia is nothing more than a gas station masquerading as a country. That's all they are.
China was getting, Thomas Friedman writes in the New York Times, who is very tapped into the Biden White House. So when he reads, it's not just a guy looking in out the window wondering if this would be a good idea. You think it's got information. Maybe he's got an agenda. He said China is helping us against Russia. He says they're not giving them weapons. They're not giving them drones. They're getting their drones from Iran for a reason. And he said that, for Nancy Pelosi to go visit there, it'll rattle their case to the point where they'll accelerate their relationship with Russia. Maybe give them arms.
Well, and perhaps that is true. I don't know what he bases that on, but I will tell you, and I'm sure.
I don't know what he based it on either. I think it's because they don't give him weapons directly, but they don't want to lose the European markets. They don't want to lose the American market.
Exactly. And as we well know, there are other ways to get weapons to them besides directly. I mean, we're doing that ourselves in the United States with Ukraine. But the point is that I don't trust Russia any further than I can pick them up and throw them. That's the key. Russia is not our friend. Russia is not our adversary. Russia is our enemy. When we recognize that, then we'll be better off. Let's face it, the two greatest challenges our country faces right now are China and our debt. And we've got to address both of those.
Right. Here is Senator John Thune on what he knows about this Inflation Reduction Package. Cut 4.
If you're worried about inflation, if you're worried about gas prices, if you're worried about the economy generally, I think this is just a really bad bill, and I'm hoping that more Democrats are going to come to that realization.
John Tester has not signed off on it, but he's not had this spine to stop anything, even though he could be using the same leverage in his red state as a Democratic senator that Manchin's been using.
Yeah, I think it's a done deal. After Kirsten Sinema signed off on it last night or whenever it was, then, I think it's a done deal in the Senate right now.
What about carried interest? She held out and she's trying to get rid of it. Does it matter?
Well, it helps, but it doesn't matter. The package as a whole is still completely bad.
Also, some things in the package: $7,500 to anyone buying an electric car, billions in rebates to anyone who buys energy efficient appliances, as well as companies that use solar or wind. Money will be paid to them. $60 billion to encourage clean energy usage overall. That could be anything. Who knows what that is? Could be a billboard. And also $60 billion to poor communities who they say is unfairly damaged because of climate.
Again, here we are. We have the Democrats picking winners and losers. You can't do that in a capitalistic society. That's not the way it works, and that's what they're doing here.
Obviously. So that's happening. I'm looking at the market. We added, to the surprises, almost double projections. We added over 500,000 jobs, and the market's down 148 points. I sense that it has something to do with this package passing, because they know what happened with the rescue plan. You put $1.9 trillion that we didn't need in the economy, and this passes. But evidently, Larry Summers got on the phone with Senator Manchin and convinced him that this would be different, that this would actually help the economy. Now, for Joe Manchin's been a star. If it wasn't for him, we'd have Puerto Rico could be a state and D.C. could be a state. The court could be packed. The filibuster could be gone. So you can't dismiss that. Can you bring us behind the scenes to know what brought Joe Manchin here?
Well, obviously, he got a lot for his state. He got a lot for West Virginia, and I get it. I know they are hurting, and I know from personal experience, we represent the people who elect us. That is what we're up there for. But at the same time, this bill, again, is the Inflation Acceleration Act. What it's going to do is put fuel on the fire. You cannot spend your way out of inflation. Let's face it. That's the key here, and that's what is going to happen. This is fuel on the fire.
I don't have to tell you that the Speaker of the House, she's in the majority for a few more months, and looked by all reports, but who knows. And evidently, to put a capstone on her career, she insisted on taking this trip. And Bloomberg writes that the White House is furious with her, and the State Department is furious with her. They wanted her to just postpone, and she said, I'm going anyway. Since that time, there's been live fire military exercises by China, and first time a missile flew over the island. In Japan, 5 rockets hit their economic zones, and the speaker has now been personally sanctioned, and they've broken off climate talks with us and military talks with us. Just your take, Congressman, on that.
I have to tell you that I believe in giving credit where credit is due, and I applaud Speaker Pelosi for doing what she's done, because let's face it, Joe Biden doesn't have the guts to stand up to China. We've witnessed his leadership and his weak leadership in Afghanistan, when he did what no other president, what no other administration has ever done, and he left Americans behind enemy lines. I can never get over that, and I never will get over that, and America should not get over that. Joe Biden, it portrays weakness, and weakness is not what we need against China. We should be dictating the rules against China, not them dictating to us.
Here's what Chris Coons said. He kind of agrees with you, Cut 9.
She's just